Hello, and welcome to this tutorial about extra fields in CollectionsIndex Web Edition. Extra fields are soft fields in CollectionsIndex that you can customize to your needs. We do recommend you try to use the existing fields in your system or speak to us about configuring a bespoke field. However, if you just occasionally have some extra information you need to record and it doesn't seem to fit any other available field, then extra fields do give you the flexibility to create a customized field name and value. When you are viewing an object that's using an extra field, you'll normally find that field at the bottom of the record. So if I scroll down here, you can see we have an extra field recorded. You might not see extra fields if you're on the default view for objects, so make sure you're on the full view. For other types of records, extra fields should appear as part of your default view. And obviously, if you're creating your own views, you can choose if you want extra fields to appear or not. When we're looking at extra fields, you can see they appear on the surface much like ordinary fields. We have a field name, which appears in bold, and then a value next to that field. But there are some differences behind the scenes. So let's jump over to the editing pane and see what those are. I'm now editing the object I was just viewing. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see extra fields have their own section here in the editing form, in the full view. And if I open this up, we can see how that extra field is formed. So you can see, rather than having a dedicated field called special category, what we actually have is an extra field name where we have a term controlled list. And so we can create new types of extra fields to appear in this list. So you can see special category appears here in my term list. And then we can simply use this free text extra field value box to type in whatever value needs to be listed against that field name. Now note that extra field is a repeating field, so you can add as many extra fields as you need to a given record simply by clicking add, picking the extra field name you want, and then adding a value against that. Now obviously note that the value field here isn't terminology controlled or authority controlled. It has to be free text so that the extra fields can be nice and flexible. This does mean extra fields aren't the best if you're wanting to create very tightly controlled information that should use certain terms, for example. But now we've added our second extra field here, let's go ahead and press save. So moving back to viewing our collections record and just scrolling down, and you can see that our new extra field has appeared down here underneath the first one. And like I say, you can add as many of these fields as you need to record unique pieces of information that you simply can't find a home for. Because of their nature, extra fields, being soft fields, aren't quite as searchable as the core fields in your system. The extra field names that you've introduced into that term list aren't real field names in the system, and so they won't appear in your advanced search field list. So if we go here, you can see we don't have the kind of special note, special category that we had in extra fields. So to search your extra fields, what you need to do is actually find the extra field itself. So extra field. So to find all the records in your system that are using extra fields, you can run a search like this. Extra field name is not empty. And we can see now we have one object in our system using extra fields at the moment, which is the one we've just looked at. If you wanted to search into the contents of your extra fields, you'd have to add another line and change this search slightly. So what you could do is say extra field name is, and then you can pick from those terms. So maybe you just want to search for objects using special category, and you could search there. Or if you want to try and find a value inside of that, what you could do is add a second line for extra field value, and maybe this contains a term we're looking for. And again, we'd see a result down here. So they're not quite as perfectly searchable as the kind of core fields in your system, but you can search across your extra fields to try and find the values that you have assigned to them. So again, because extra fields have to be flexible and the values aren't term controlled, they aren't a great place to consistently record information like names, categories, types, which are better suited to proper term controlled fields. Now, because the extra field names are a terminology, you can manage them in the usual way by going to the terminologies section of your system, and amongst your list of terminologies here, you will find extra field name. And we can see the terms available here. So we can, of course, add new terms and edit the terms we have. So maybe I'll right click and add a new extra field. What you might want to do is use extra fields to add some very temporary comments to your records. Here we go. And of course, the term record itself is a useful place to maybe record some additional information about your extra field. For example, scope note, maybe explaining why you've set up this extra field, how it should be used, because it won't have the standard help text that other fields in your system will have. So maybe a useful place to record your decision-making process for other users. So, for occasionally capturing something out of the ordinary or something that's really ill-fitting for your existing fields, extra fields do give you a nice flexible solution. However, if you do feel you'll need to regularly use them to record something that isn't provided by the system's core fields, then do please speak to us, as it might be that a bespoke field would be more useful and more searchable. That's all for this video. As ever, do reach out to us with any further questions or suggestions for other useful tutorials. But for now, goodbye, and we'll see you in the next video.